Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Two very interesting topics for this video, otherwise I wouldn't make the video. The first one, the Ukrainians claim that the Russians will not continue the talks unless this happens. And this was obvious, and that is Zelenskyy must go. That's the first one. Not the Americans tell the Ukrainians get rid of Zelenskyy, but the Russians say according to the Ukrainians. That's the first topic. The second topic has to do with an article that claims that Trump told the European leaders after speaking with Putin that this is the reason why Putin is not ending the war and he doesn't want to negotiate. And I'm going to let you know what that particular reason is, according to an Ukrainian media outlet citing three people familiar with the issue about supposedly what Trump told some guys over the phone. Okay, so you know how those things transpired to us, and I will analyze how, what's the name of that, Ukrainska Pravda, which is the media outlet that brings this article, how they make the point, how they make the connection between what Trump allegedly said. All right, so let's start with the first topic, and that comes from New Voice of Ukraine. This is the front page of New Voice of Ukraine, and this is the title: Mirage of Peace. Russia rejects talks until Ukraine changes leadership. All right, let's see what's going on with this article. And here is the title: Kremlin questions Zelensky's mandate to dodge peace deal. Well, the Russians do not dodge it from yesterday or the day before. They have been saying this even before Zelenskyy did not run those elections, did not organize those elections. They were supposed to be held in May last year. But under the martial law instituted by himself with the help of Rada, the parliament, Ukrainian parliament, those elections were suspended. But Ukraine is a democracy. Russia held elections last year, and Russia is not a democracy. Putin is a dictator, but Zelenskyy is a president. You understand? But it doesn't surprise me, because these guys are calling president the guy in charge of Syria right now. The reformed jihadist, never elected. They call him, in their newspapers, they call him president. Sometimes leader, but never anything else in the Western media. Why? You know who's behind all that. So let's go back to our little ship here. So the Russians claim, under your constitution, the guys in Rada, in your parliament, are, I think, the chief of Rada, and the head, I can't remember how, the president, and exactly, I don't know what his title, is the one who, under the Ukrainian constitution, should be in charge of the country. The Ukrainians and some other guy says no. Now, I don't know which one it is. It could be probably interpreted however you want. The problem is the Russians did not wake up yesterday saying Zelenskyy must go, we're not going to discuss with you. The Russians said, you know what? You can leave Zelenskyy in the negotiations, but I don't think his signature on any document will be legal. And even if you consider it to be legal now or today when we sign it, we are afraid that what we sign today, maybe in a few years, like the Minsk agreements 1 and 2, you might disagree with in 1 or 2 years, and you're going to come back and you say, you know what, actually, what you guys, the Russians, signed with then the alleged President Zelenskyy is null, is void, is zero. Why? Because according to our new interpretation of our constitution, he was illegitimate then. Therefore, what you signed means zero. Therefore, let's negotiate now again under new circumstances. And the Russians said no. Now, not that a signature matters. Really, it doesn't. It's just a signature. Zelenskyy said, I don't like anything about the Minsk agreements 1 and 2 at all. I don't like that. I want to renegotiate. And then the war broke out again in 2022. Remember, what was his name? Hollande, the president of France then, and Merkel, the chancellor of Germany. They played as the guarantors of the implementation, the Ukrainian guarantors, that they will implement the Minsk agreements too, which became international law while it was signed by all these 4 countries, France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia. Then we are the guarantors that the Ukrainians will fulfill their obligations, and they didn't since 2015 to 2022. So again, you want to do what? So a signature doesn't really... Look at Trump. Those guys with Iran, they signed those agreements with Iran with the nuclear weapons, what the nuclear program, not weapons, program. And Trump came in office and said, that's zero. I don't care what those guys signed. It's me. I'm the new sheriff in town here. So zero. So the same thing could happen with these agreements. So that's one of the reasons the Russians talked about it in the past. Even though I don't think the why they really cling to this little thing that Zelenskyy must go. He's over there. If you take him out, who's going to be next? Unless he's one of your puppets, then useless. Ukrainian people need to, and I'm quoting, elect new leadership in order to sign a peace memorandum with Russia. Maxim Mushikin, legal department head at Russia's foreign ministry, claimed. TASS state propaganda outlet wrote on May 2022. TASS is a state propaganda, but Ukraine's New Voice of Ukraine is not. Okay? All right. Mushikin reiterated the Kremlin's long-standing propaganda claim that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy had, and I've got long lost internal legitimacy, let alone external, end quote. And I'm quoting, it must be absolutely certain that the person signing any peace agreement on behalf of Ukraine has a mandate from the people, or problems may arise. Now, can the Ukrainians run some elections? They can, but it's a little bit hard because people are fighting the war and they're in the trenches. They can't really vote. It's complicated with that, not like mail-in rebate in America, a mail-in ballot when they just bring new ballots from wherever they found them in what apartment. Okay, so it's hard. Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. But let me see what else is here. The Ukrainian people must, through free expression of will, let me put this here, choose new leadership. Then there will be a legitimate signatory. Right now, it's a matter of certain internal constitutional procedures. Technically, if we look formally, the head of the parliament, that's the guy, might have some powers to sign. But whether he'll be allowed to do that within his own country is a big question. So, Mushikin also remarked that the so-called memorandum discussed in recent call between Russian dictator Vladimir, today he's a dictator, Vladimir Putin and US President Donald Trump would, and I'm going to require the right signatory, but that this is now a problem. On May 19, in his call with Trump, Putin claimed that Russia was willing to work with Ukraine on a memorandum for a possible future peace agreement. According to Putin, this might include principles for settlement, timelines for a possible peace deal, and potentially a temporary ceasefire if appropriate agreements are reached. So what do you want, my friends? What's going on here? I think the Russians could, would demand, because, the loser cannot dictate the terms. The winner dictates the terms. In this case, however you want to take it, Russia fought, about 30 countries. That's what it is, 30 countries. Get NATO, European Union, some baboons in New Zealand, and I was about to say Argentina, South Korea, Japan, Australia. These guys were all supporting Zelenskyy's fight for liberty and freedom and so on. So, that's the first one. Do you think these guys will oblige? I think Trump, when he's going to get angry and he really has the power, if he really has the power, he's going to say one day, you know what, Zelenskyy must go. Like, as I said in other videos, the United States of America was not shy to demand other leaders of other people, other countries, other nations, other tribes, to just go because we don't like them. I can give you the example of Slobodan Milosevic of Yugoslavia. They said he must go. Then they said Assad, he must go. Then they said Saddam, he must go. And they said Gaddafi. All these bad dudes, they were not following these guys' orders, must go. And they went little by little in a very, very decent way. One died while he was in The Hague, Milosevic. The other one was hanged in a Nuremberg-style court in Baghdad. The other one was killed and stabbed like a dog in Libya at the orders of Freedom and Democracy. And Assad right now is in Moscow because he nearly dodged the hanging by the free world. Ceausescu was also gunned down at the order of these guys. And I can go on. They dictate who's coming and who's going. But nobody else can interfere in our democracy. That is, in our dealings here with the voting machines and other things. So that's the first topic. Let's go to the second topic. Will it go? If Trump says it will go, we'll see how much power really this guy has. But I think Zelenskyy is Great Britain's man, not the US's man. But as US can smack sometimes the Great Britain, we'll find out. Next. Ukrainska Pravda. Trump. Putin won't end war because he believes he's winning. So this is a statement. I don't see any quotation marks. And this is according to Washington with Wall Street Journal. All right, let's see how these guys came to the conclusion. And I would like you to pay attention at any quotation marks, right, or anything that one will tell you. It's just an interpretation of the Wall Street Journal of what supposedly they spoke with some people familiar with the matter, with the issue. Like I will bring some people familiar with the issue that contradict that. I can't name them. Neither did Wall Street Journal. All right. US President Donald Trump, during a phone call with European leaders on May 19, and here is a statement, is not might, all right, has acknowledged that Russian leader Vladimir Putin is not ready to end the war in Ukraine as he believes he is winning. So this is the thesis put forth by Wall Street Journal. Now let's see the quotation or something. The Wall Street Journal citing 3 people familiar with the details of the conversation. You don't know who those people are. We will never find out. Now, if they can use that, can I use my people familiar with the issue? And my people said that no, Trump actually invited Putin to a pole dance. That's my people familiar with three people, actually 17 people. Not 3, 17 or 19. How many do you want? I can give you. Why? Because I'm not required to reveal my sources. Neither is Wall Street Journal. Confidentiality. Okay? Or I have to, but Wall Street Journal is not. I will endanger my sources, well-being. You know how things are? When they say 3 people familiar with this, for me it's like they could make it up just like I can. All right, let's go. And here is the quotation. The quotation is not Trump. This is not a quote. This is the quote from Wall Street Journal. The acknowledgement, which one, the sources say, was what European leaders had long believed about Putin. But it was the first time they were hearing it from Trump. It also ran counter to what Trump has often said publicly, that he believes Putin genuinely wants peace. This could have been written as it is by the guy who wrote the article in the Wall Street Journal. Just like that. Just like that. Despite this, now this is details. This is again details, their interpretation. Despite this, Trump has not agreed to the demands of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Ahead of 2 hours conversation, however, this is my war. This is a quotation mark. We got ourselves entangled in something we shouldn't have been involved in. Trump told journalists, now you can verify that one, after speaking with Putin. Exactly. Quote from Wall Street Journal. While the efforts ultimately didn't succeed in getting Trump to do Trump, including Trump, where Putin stood, he is unwilling to halt the war at this stage. And for the Europeans, it helped underscore Trump administration will stop. No. This is the quote from Wall Street Journal, is not from Trump. So I discard everything what they said. Why? Because they never lied to us. But I can't take it like this. If I make a claim, I have to support it with evidence. Now, if my evidence is some people that you cannot verify they even exist, There's no evidence, my friends. You know, I have witnesses that you committed that crime, but you can't talk to my witnesses, and my witnesses are anonymous. They are over there, they saw you, but they told me. But you can't find out who they are, and they're never going to be testifying in front of a court or a jury, okay? Is that how justice works? I mean, you can make up whatever you want, and then you hide behind some people familiar with 3 people. I can say 3 people and a half familiar with the issue. This is how the media, these operatives, are giving us the information, and the title is, look at the title, the headline. Put Trump, like he says it, Putin won't end war because he believes he's winning. So according to these guys, this guy said, I haven't seen any quotation mark, no names, nothing. That means for me is 0. It's just an interpretation of whatever some people wanted to influence our, regiment us. Their narrative. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I think that Putin wants to end the war under his conditions, and who wouldn't want that? If you win, I want my conditions to be over there. As I always say, as Napoleon Bonaparte supposedly said, I'm a man of peace. I like peace. Under my terms. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.